program is brought to you by Thermomix. Welcome to Hello Darling. Today, my very special guest is Rach, most inspiring woman of the year 2023, survivor of horrific domestic violence, and the founder of Broken Crayons Still Color Foundation. Let's meet Rach while Thermomix is preparing our lunch. Hello, darling. Welcome to my show.
Hello, darling. Thank you for having me.
Rach, you are the woman who has most incredible journey that I hope we can cover a lot of it today. And it seems to me that you are a woman who has survived the unsurvivable. But I start on the very, very positive note. You are the 2023 Momentum Most Inspiring Woman of the Year. How does it feel?
I've got goosebumps again. Look, it's an amazing feeling because it feels like such an achievement against the odds. I feel very proud, very, very proud.
And rightly so. Thank you. Thank you for being such a strong force of nature and survival drive. So you are the founder of the
Broken Crayons Still Color Foundation.
Please tell our viewers, tell me about how it works, what's the mission of it?
Broken Crayons Still Color Foundation is a foundation for women, men and children experiencing domestic violence. It's a foundation that we assist women, men and children to escape domestic violence. We're the only foundation or organisation in the nation that does what we do. So we physically go and get the victim out and relocate them safely to out of harm's way. Once we've done that, we'll provide everything they need to survive. So furniture, linen, white goods, food, clothing, toiletries, baby items, toys, school supplies for the children. We'll go to court with them to help support them whilst they're facing their abuser and child. And we also provide counselling and we advocate fiercely. I'm a fierce, outspoken advocate and I don't apologise for it.
Rach, how do victims that have the luck to have your assistance in escaping, how do they find out about you? How do you find them?
Well, we've got our social media pages, obviously, but we also have our website, which is www.brokencrayonsstillcolor.org. We get a lot of referrals as well from WAPOL, from other organisations, whether they be government funded or not. It's a lot of word of mouth because got a track record of getting the job done. We get it done promptly and we get it right first time, every time.
So, because what I'm thinking now, if the woman is in crisis, being chased, beaten up, close to be murdered, and she needs to run away, the last thing she remembers is to log into a website. Do you know where I'm coming from?
I know. I don't give my number out because my abuser is still out there and the last thing I need is him getting my phone number. But if you just type in Broken Crayons Still Color, we come up straight away.
And do you cooperate with police?
Yes, we do. So police will also refer to us, which is the DV unit, the police force, and we've got a very close working relationship with them.
Now, Rach, please obviously tell me what inspired you to create what you created. We know it's based on your own experience. When did your story of abuse begin? Tell us back.
It started back in 2013. I met a man on Tinder. My typical profile of a man, tall, muscly, strong. Little did I know that profile that I have of what I thought I wanted would almost kill me. Not once, but twice. So I swiped right on Tinder. We went on dates. Things escalated very quickly, romantically, and not from my side. I might add, I was a little bit hesitant, but everyone was saying, Rach, she's so in love with you. You're so happy. And it just happened to be. And he was very protective and he treated me like an absolute princess in the beginning.
Stop here. Okay. Treating you as a princess at the beginning, and yet warning sign came very early.
They did.
Tell me the first incident that happened that would have been for you the warning sign if you look back today.
We were at dinner at Coco's and our table wasn't ready and we were seated at a bar and he was drinking at least 6 Coronas to my 1 cocktail. And we were walking to our table, and an elderly couple, and when I say elderly, they were easily in their early 80s. And the gentleman said, "Oh, you're a lucky man. She's very tall. She's got legs that go on forever." And his wife said, "What a beautiful looking couple." When we go to sit down at the restaurant, he poured me a champagne and then threw it across the room and called me a word that I won't say on television, but basically inciting that I was doing something wrong.
So tell me, was the evening ruined?
Yes.
The romantic evening?
Yeah, I ran.
Of course. Ah, you ran already. First runner. And where is your woman gut feeling now? Because we know we've got it. Women have it.
Well, I thought, oh, this guy's tapped. There's just no way. Like, they're giving us a compliment, him and I. And I jumped in a taxi, and I remember him coming to my apartment. I lived in a high rise, buzzing on the door saying, "I want to get my stuff out." Well, he didn't have anything there. So I didn't let him in. But the next day, there was buzzing again, and there was 12 dozen long stem red roses. "I'm so sorry, I just got jealous. I'm a little bit insecure." Me thinking, "Oh my God, he really does love me like this. Like, I've made him feel insecure." So straight away, I thought it was my fault. And that just progressed over time.
Okay. Do you think, looking back again, and now we're going to dig into much more severe story, being so hungry for love that you were at this stage of your life can be a valuable point in women's life, because our gut feeling is so strong, we shouldn't be blinded because we're not 20 or 19 when it happened. Yeah.
And the reality is, I say hindsight is a cruel thing. It's not a wonderful thing, because I knew it was a red flag, but I instantly put it down that it wasn't that serious. He was just a little bit insecure, and I could make him feel better about him, us. So I took the responsibility of the fault for that. It wasn't my fault at all. So if we could rewind the clock, would I have run and kept continuing running that evening? Most definitely. But would I now, after what I've created? No.
There we go. Tell me now, next step, when the things become more out of control.
I think for me, I was a very prominent real estate agent, and as many can appreciate, we do lots of after hours work. There's lots of phone calls, there's lots of weekends, and he would call me constantly. And if I didn't take my phone call, or if I'd missed it because I was with a client, "I don't believe you're at your desk. Take a photograph of you at your desk." And I started doing that because he was threatening to come to my office and smack on with my clients and my colleagues. And I knew then that this was getting to a place that was escalating. And the first time the physical violence began was the first time I almost died. And that was my daughter had been home from school sick, and my abuser worked FIFO, and he happened to be home, and he was with her. I was at work. I was collecting my boy twin from school, and he had some babysitting money that was in a foreign currency that he wanted to change. Then we were going to Woolworths. Very simple, everyday things you do. So I collected Fletch from school. My abuser had called me. I'd missed the call, and we'd gone to the bank. And when we were in Woolworths, I went to call him back, and he didn't take the call. And he said, "Where are you?" In a text message. And I said, "Woolworths." He said, "I don't believe you." So I had to take a photograph of myself with the trolley. We walked into the door. I'm carrying groceries, and he starts screaming at me. And I remember Fletch just ran into his room and slammed the door. And he threw me around a little bit, not too severely, and said, "I'm going out. You're nothing but a liar." I said, "Look, there's the groceries. I've been at Woolworths. Here's the international slip from the banking. Fletch is in a school uniform. I've clearly picked him up from school." That angered him more because I was defending myself, and I made him look stupid. So he went out, and he didn't come home, and it was quite late, and I'd gone to bed. And the next minute, I remember being woken up by being pulled from the bed by my ponytail. I was punched in both sides of my faces, my eyebrow split. And the last thing I remember was his hands around my throat. And I could I could feel I couldn't breathe, and I was trying with everything I had to get out of it. But I saw out of the corner of my eye my girl twin Miller, and that's the last thing I remember. And when I woke up, it was Miller trying to get me up down the stairs, and he had booted me in my back. I almost went flying down those stairs. And my boy twin had actually started the car. And what I didn't realise, unbeknownst to me, the entire time this was happening, Miller had been on the phone to the police and trying to get him off me. So we got in the car, and it was electric gates, and they were taking forever. I remember thinking, just drive through them. And I saw my abuser with our little dog, and he had a knife. And my boy twin jumped out, grabbed the dog and jumped back in, and I flew back out, and there were police cars everywhere. And they got him. I was taken straight to hospital. So I had quite a significant injury from non-fatal strangulation. You will hear how husky my voice is. He strangled me so hard that part of my bones perforated my voice box fragments. So that's something I'll have to live with for the rest of my life.
Question: how do you stay after with a person like this?
I didn't.
Okay.
I have left.
Mm-hmm.
I had left. They remanded him into custody to give me time to find somewhere. And I moved. He got bail. And within 24 hours, he found me. And he was on my doorstep threatening to kill me and himself and set the house on fire if I didn't let him in.
So would you say that the system failed here?
The system definitely failed me. And they continue to fail me. Like I said, I've moved numerous times. I've moved 17 times since that time. He's always found me. Another almost fatal assault was he found me again.
How does he find you? How did he find you each time?
That's the first time I didn't know. I had no idea. And then the police said to me, we're going to go over your car and you need to give us your phone. He had put a tracking device on my car, and there was spyware on my phone, and which had been downloaded remotely. And I remember throwing my phone in a bucket of water, thinking I'll just get a new one. He also found me through hiring private investigators. One time a real estate agent accidentally gave him my address because he said, I've got a gift for her. Oh, yes, she's staying here. So even though that was innocent on her part, she put my life in danger.
Did you close your profile on your Facebook?
Everything was shut down.
Everything was shut down. Now, your career as a estate agent, successful, as you say, you were loving what you were doing.
Yeah.
You were doing well.
Yeah, I was very prominent. I'd been a real estate agent for 19 years. I had three of my own offices in Queensland. And it was, my niche market was the heritage homes, and I just loved it. But it was becoming threatening for my clients and colleagues because my abuser would turn up at my open homes, and any male that was there, apparently I was sleeping with them. According to him, I cheated with every male in Perth, even though I've never cheated in my life, just defend myself here. And then he started threatening my colleagues, and I knew I had to resign.
And then what happened then? Did you put a restraining order on?
I had a restraining order, and we went to trial, and he was found guilty on every single charge.
He was found guilty. Are you able to mention a few of the...
Sure. So non-fatal strangulation, stalkings, threats to kill, breaching the restraining order 49 times.
49 times.
Optical spyware in my bedroom and bathroom. There's just so many. Like, if you go to e-court, you will see all the charges, and there's just...
And then what? He walked free again?
He was convicted and he was sentenced, and he didn't serve more than 6 days.
So how is it possible? How is it possible with this kind of a track record, which is not everyday average track record?
No.
To be released after 6 days. What do you do?
I was in shock. I was absolutely in shock, because at the end of the trial, when the prosecution is giving their closing argument, that's when they can bring up his previous criminal history, which I had no idea about. He had already served 6 years for grievous bodily harm. He had done time for dealing meth. He had a vast criminal history, and a very violent one. So for the magistrate to almost be lenient towards, my heart broke, because I thought everything that I fought for myself and my children has been a complete waste of time. But more than that, it's been thrown in my face. And this is why victims are reluctant to press charges.
Because
The judicial system is letting us down. I mean, at the end of the day, my abuser, I can't really talk about this much because there's still a lot going on, but he did get me again. I had 2 fractured eye sockets. I've had stitches in my face, 3 broken ribs. I lost a tooth, and I was unconscious for 11 hours. And bail. And he's a repeat offender. And I advocated so hard for that law, so hard. And it's not what it's made out it is. It's a farce. The whole system is a farce.
now, when you were taking him to court, when you pressed charges, how could you afford it? How was your legal assistance? Because I believe once after you quit the job, your financial situation was pretty vulnerable. Yeah.
Well, I didn't need a lawyer because I was the victim. So the prosecutor acts like the lawyer for myself and my children. I did have quite a bit of savings in my bank account, but unbeknownst to me, because he had the spyware on the phone, once again, I didn't know. I went to pay for something at the supermarket and my card was declined. I was thinking, huh? And I went to my bank account, it said $0, and $37,000 had been transferred from my account to his. And we'd never had joint bank accounts.
So how did he find out your account?
Because he had spyware on my phone. So I basically was just surviving. And, you know, I would be given from domestic violence organisations the odd Woolworths gift card and things like that. But, you know, I was so stressed and so fearful that he was going to get me again. I wasn't really eating, but as long as my children were, that's all I really cared about. And I wasn't really sleeping because I had to listen for every noise. So to be quite honest, it's remarkable that I didn't go insane. But then one day I just thought, you know what? He was going to kill you if you stayed, and he was going to kill you if you left. You did the right things by your children by trying to leave. So you've left now, and this is never going to end for you. But you can become a public figure with it. Be an outspoken advocate and fight for other victims, because if anything ever happens to you, everybody's going to know who did it. And I was smart about it. Because he had been found guilty, I put his photograph out there, I put his full name out there and his date of birth. And I'm very fortunate that the police are very good to me and I'm very, very well protected. And because I'm so public with my advocacy and my story and using my voice for those who've temporarily or permanently lost theirs, you'd be an idiot to come for me.
Is he a free walking man at the moment?
Yes, he is.
Now, your foundation, tell me a day when the idea came to you and the idea about the name came to you, because it's a very unusual name and I have no doubt it has a meaning, of course.
It certainly does, and this is one I'll probably get emotional in. It doesn't matter how much time has passed, there's triggers there, things that hurt you still because of what they did. And I remember starting this little community group thinking I could seek support and offer support. And yes, I did educate myself and go to every domestic violence trial known to mankind, but I was trying to think of a name. And my twins were 11 at the time, and they were colouring in, and Miller's crayon had broken. And she got very upset because she was greatly affected by my journey through domestic violence. To this day, is still greatly affected. And I remember sitting down at the coffee table with her and saying, Miller, look, it still works. And I'm colouring in. And I said to her, you can still create a beautiful picture just because the crown's broken. And then it just hit me. Like, I can still have a beautiful, productive life, even though I've been broken. And that's where the name came from.
Incredible. Rach, now your foundation helping victims to give them shelter, to give them products, to give them care. What do you say to these women? What can we, that's my question, number one question. You give them roof over the top, head. But how do you talk to them? What's the way forward?
I always say you've got to have self-belief. Because people often say in the DV sector, don't give them hope, but hope's all we have.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got to find our inner strength. I didn't know at the time my incredible inner strength.
Yeah.
And because I had the lived experience, I can say to victims, I'm living proof of this.
Mm.
I am living proof. I had nothing. I was financially successful. I had beautiful furniture, a beautiful car. I started again with nothing.
Mm.
And if I can do this with no family here, hardly any friends because they were sick of seeing me black and blue,
Really?
so can you, because I didn't have the assistance that I'm giving you. I like to get victims out of victim mentality as quickly as humanly possible, because that will drown them. If they stay in that mentality, that is what will sink them.
Mm.
And there are organisations, not just Broken Crown Still Colour, but other organisations that we link them in with, you know, whether it's an Aboriginal specific organisation or if there's mental health issues. And I can tell you right now, we all suffer from mental health after experiencing trauma like this. So they want someone to listen who understands. Like, even though other people can give great advice, they're never going to understand if they haven't lived it.
Yes, yes. So, yes, thank you. So the fact that you went through this yourself, yes, I understand. You're the best advocate for it. Now, as a society, what can we do? How can we make a difference to prevent sick men running around and causing such a horrible
I think
violence, which is domestic violence? You know, statistics are horribly, as we know.
Oh, they're shocking. Absolutely shocking. And they're escalating. But I think as a community, you need to listen. You really need to listen, because this is not a taboo subject. Everyone knows someone who has either gone through it or going through it or will go through it. There's no shame in being a victim.
Yeah.
The shame doesn't live on our shoulders. It certainly does not live on mine. It lives squarely on his. But if you're a neighbour and you can hear your neighbour screaming, for God's sakes, dial 000, that can save a life. If you see something happening and you don't want to get in the middle of it, because that can be confronting, go and find some other men to help you. Get this woman away. If you're too fearful, once again, dial 000. But listen to the advocates. Listen to what we need. Would I say listen to the government so much? No, I would not. Because to me, they're just a lip service who, whilst they're throwing a little bit of money here and there, they're adding to our problems as far as I'm concerned. But listen to women like me, because we know what we need. Get behind organisations like mine. You know, we are a tax deductible. We do have our DGR. We receive no government funds whatsoever. We raise all our own resources. And in 2 years, we have not one, but 2 transitional safe homes. We have an emergency relocation vehicle. We have a warehouse. We have a safe haven counselling space. We're doing what the government can't or won't on our own. So I urge you to get behind us.
Incredible. We're not finishing, but the lunch is ready. It's time for lunch. Today, we're having for lunch a beetroot salad made by Thermomix with a little bit of chicken. And it is going to be delicious.
Looks stunning. Colours are beautiful.
Rach, while we enjoying this amazing lunch break, I would like to ask you something else. What would be your recipe for life?
Mine is going to relate back to domestic violence, and that is when people display poor behaviour, hold them accountable, whether they're male, female, black, white, or with polka dots. Poor behaviour can only change when we hold others accountable.
And run as fast as you can?
Oh, don't look back. Don't look back. And if you're unsure or if you think you can change them, you can't. They can only fix themselves. But you need that help. I will help you. I will help you get away. I'll help you go on to live a beautiful life.
Thank you. Rach, As you probably know, I give my guests at the end of my interview a magic wand. And you have two wishes, one for yourself and one for the world. What would be your wish for the world?
My wish for the world is when voices unite, they echo. So I want the world to unite. Yeah, that would definitely be it.
Beautiful. And for yourself, your magic wand for yourself?
Some days I see a lot of trauma and that can be pretty taxing. So my wish for myself is I will continue my strength. I will continue to be fierce. I will continue to be outspoken. And I am going to make an impact. I already am. That is the wish for myself.
Thank you, Rach. Thank you for your strengths. Thank you for making a difference. And thank you for your foundation making such a huge difference in women's and people's lives.
Thank you for having me, Barbara. It's been a pleasure.
And now, bon appetit.
Bon appetit.